Today's June 19th. The Pirates win the first series against the Reds this season. Pitching was a major theme of this one. Or was it bad hitting? No, it's definitely pitching. It's definitely pitching. Let's break it down. You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Yins, guys. Thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I'm joined as always by my brother Jake. What's up, Jake?
Howdy ho, neighbor.
Jake. We just played the Reds, so in everybody's mind, I know right now they're thinking, man, he looks a lot like Jake Fraley. I'm just going to guess that you're thinking that. So
I've been getting a lot of the guy from the Scott's commercial right now. Feed your lawn, feed it.
Yeah. Glad you went for the impression too.
Yeah.
You got to do that.
Got to.
Hey, series win.
Yeah.
I love day games, and I had today off, so I loved it because I was able to just sit and watch a game and look up like a million things during the game and all of that stuff, which makes it even more fun for me. So I was a little more active than usual in this one. So,
yeah, I actually, it's been a crazy month for me.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just highlights for me right now.
Yeah.
I saw like an inning and a half yesterday.
Yeah. And we were kind of, we were kind of looking at some before we got started here. I was like, well, you know, I was kind of talking about this. Hey, Ryan in the chat. How about them Buccos, man? How about them Buccos? So there's kind of a lot to unpack on this series. Sometimes we have like a topic that we come in and we want to just talk about that. Other times the games were fun or whatever, or terrible or or whatever, and we want to talk about those things too. And so yeah, it's a little bit of that. Ryan says it was blacked out for him in Tennessee because the Reds broadcast goes so far, but you listened.
Yeah. Dude,
sometimes it's awesome. So I'm going to say, I just said I love day games, right? And I'm going to double down on this. They feel to me like they feel super classic. That's why I love day games. It's, a long time ago, they didn't play night games,
Right.
So you see a lot of the old highlights. They're always day games. World Series doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And so there's like this classic feeling to a day game. And then on top of that, you had like a big time pitching matchup today that lived up to it lived up to what you would want it to be as a pitching matchup, right?
Yeah.
We've had this conversation about starting pitching and how they're not going deep. And it's hard to say, oh, it's Greene versus Keller. This is a really great game to go to. And it's like, well, I mean, for half the game. Not, you know what I'm saying? Not like what we saw today. So also kind of throwback. And then we got Ryan in the chat saying he listened on the radio, which that's throwback too. So it's kind of almost like the perfect game to get to listen to on the radio. I hope that it was that enjoyable for you, Ryan. And I think I would have enjoyed, I did enjoy watching this one too, but I would have enjoyed, listening to this one if that's what I had to do. And we'll get into the Rowdy swing and the Reynolds swing, but we're going to cover a lot of pitching today. I just feel like we're going to talk a lot of pitching. Pit City, what? How you doing, man? Let's go Bucks. Let's get into it, man. Well, okay. So actually, first off, we will finish this show. I have some things, some Willie Mays things to say at the end of this show. I just had an opportunity to reflect a little bit and kind of think about somebody like this who's so important to the game, you tend to sit back and think, not that I knew him or anything, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's still a really cool thing. So I do have some things. I'm sure that you'll be able to throw in some stuff to it as well. But I do have some things. So we're going to talk about all the pitching from this Reds series, which was a very exciting series and very exciting pitching throughout the whole series. Then we'll get into some pieces of those games as well. And then not much to the Tampa preview, but we'll give you a little bit, and then we'll talk some Willie Mays, and we'll get out of here. A little bit different doing this on a Wednesday, but we got a day off tomorrow. And so here we are, day game, day off. We've got an opportunity to do this not super late on a Thursday. So pretty cool. Hopefully we have some... here we go. We've got some more chat here. Not a huge Joe Block fan.
I love Joe Block.
So that's actually really interesting because Joe Block does kind of have a feel for me. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Actually, so Joe Block has a type of voice that I think would be good for radio. And so when Jake says, I love Joe Block, Jake, go ahead and explain that because it has nothing to do with what he says.
I love voices, man. I love voices. And, he's got that classic voice to him. You know what I mean? And it's not always about what he says. I mean, there's things he says that it's like, whatever, but I just love the way it sounds when he says it.
Yeah. He's got a classic voice. And so that's one of those things. I always thought that like Tim Neverett was a good broadcaster, but I never cared for the voice. And I think this is like the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, I really like the tone of his voice, but sometimes he can be a blockhead.
It's also funny, the back half of that, but you were fist pumping.
Yeah.
When B-Ray went yard, that's more than he did.
That's more than Brian Reynolds did. He just gave it
he just gave it a clap.
A clap. It was like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, let's go.
Hannah Mears at the post-game interview was like, does it feel great to go into the day off with a win? Yeah, it's great. Okay. That's a jam. I got to get the clip of him saying that's a jam. And we got to get that thing. That's a jam. Anyway, exciting game today. If you're not a pitching matchup type guy, I could imagine being very frustrated this week. But like a 2-1 game and a 1-0 game, to me, it is more stressful, but it's also like edge of your seat baseball.
Yeah.
Because if it's a lot of runs, you kind of feel like it's who's going to be the one who hits the home run with two guys on. And it can kind of get away. You know what I mean? But like the 0-0 is like literally anyone. Like Michael A. Taylor might be the guy that hits the home run. It could be anyone. And that's the thing that makes it like, and when runs are at a premium, it makes it that much bigger. You know what I mean? So I really like it. Let's go back to Skeens Spires on Monday. Skeens goes 6 innings. I just got a notification on my phone. Or on my computer. It didn't make a noise, but it reminded me to do that. Skeens goes 6 innings, 6 hits, an earned run, a walk, and 7 Ks. Spires really 6 innings, 4 runs. So the fourth run he gave up is the one that kind of said he's the only one that didn't have like a good start. I think everyone else you could qualify as a great start just about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for the rest of the week. So Spires 7 hits, 4 runs, a walk, and 5 Ks. It was his first start in the major leagues. He's pitched, right? He's come out of the bullpen, but it was his first start. And he was pretty good. But the Pirates got to him. It felt like they could have got to him maybe a little bit more, but they did get to him. I mean, they scored 4. It was enough to win it 4-1. Kutch had the double. Reynolds 2 hits. Cruz knocked in 2 in the first, but it was after you were already down. So let's talk. Skeens giving up a run in his first inning, or for the first time in the first inning. Heavy dose of fastballs, and the Reds were on it.
Yeah. And it's a kudos to him. He's, him and Grandal got together. They made the adjustment, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna flip the curveball in there. I'm gonna go with my off speed stuff a little more. They did the breakdown on MLB Central, and it was like he's used his single digits in percentage in some of his pitches, and he was in the double digits. I don't remember the numbers, so I'm not going to try. But double digits in percentage during this game, and it just so much. It makes you feel good that it's like even when you're not on your A game, you still know how to get outs. That's a pitcher.
Yeah.
So he's already getting that. You know what I mean? Like, hey, they're on the fastball today. Not even that his fastball was off. It's just they're on it today.
Yeah, they went in with a game plan.
Of
yeah, they went into a game plan to attack the fastball, and they were on time, and they were hitting it. So yeah, and it was pretty obvious that was it. This doesn't really have usage. I mean, he still used the fastball 34% of the time, which is still his most used pitch. But in the first inning, it was way heavier than that, right? And he threw 7 sliders, which is a pitch he typically uses. I had these numbers too, and I don't know where they went. I don't know if this was in a text. I think it was, so bear with me for just a second here, because I feel like I said something about this. Nope. Nope. Doesn't look like it. Anyway, his slider, 7 pitches in his slider, and that's his 3rd most used pitch on the season.
Yeah.
And he only used it 7 times. I think the idea was the vertical break on it was normal as it is for the season. All of that stuff, it seemed like everything was fine as far as that stuff goes. The curveball, he just ramped up and used a ton.
Yeah.
Changeup, he used 10 times, but the curveball, 18. That was 19% of his pitches. Obviously, the splitter, sinker, the splinker, and the fastball. It's funny. I don't. Splinker is what it is. I know that it's like, that's not a pitch. You can't start making up names. I get it. What's funny is he calls it a sinker and StatCast calls it a splitter. So it's just like, what else are you going to do? So his splitter sinker, his usage there was, wait a minute. What is this? Oh, okay. It's just different. I got you. All right. So anyway, totally changed the way he threw. And I know what it was. It was a guy, it was Tuesday. It was a guy at work was messaging me. He's a Reds fan. And he was like, I wanted to see him at his best. And I'm like, I'm not sure you saw him at his worst. Like, he went 6 innings and struck out 7 guys. And, he gave up a run and made an in-game adjustment, which is like kind of a vet thing to do. Like, that's not a guy who's making his 7th start type thing, and was able to do that so effectively. Yeah, I don't think that Paul Skeens I don't think that he's lost a decision in professional baseball yet, by the way.
Yeah, no, he has not.
Okay. Just saying. Really impressed. Really impressed with what he did. And then you go, was there anything else on that? On Skeens? On, you know what I mean?
No. I mean, he's a horse.
Yeah. Chapman, Holderman, Bednar, close it out. Bednar's 15th save. He'd get his 16th save today. Falter Lodolo. This one had kind of the nerves going for me. I think I told a buddy of mine, I was like, if the pitching matchups mean anything, Skeens is going to take the first game. Lodolo's going to take the second game. And we're going to be set up for an afternoon matchup of Keller and Greene that is going to be like, I was just so excited for. And that's how it played out. But Falter held his own. I mean, It's really 2 pitches.
It's another great start.
Yeah, you take away 2 pitches. Now, I don't know about... I get it. He got away with it. I wouldn't call it a great start. I know he went 7. I know he gave up 2. and it was on a 2-run homer. So I get that as far as results go, but like 2 walks, 3 Ks, 7 hits, I believe there was 11 hard hit balls off of him in this game. So like, I know that like Olivares was very busy in right field catching line drives, not fly balls. And so there was a little bit of that it was like, he still got touched a good bit, but he got away with all of it. He got a double play in each of the first 3 innings. Key Bryan to Gonzalez to first, to Joe. But
which is a great job of pitching.
That's a great job of pitching. I just thought like what we've seen from him at different times has been a lot of easy contact, not giving up hits. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll go, he's deep with 0 or 1 or 2 hits. And
he's not great at missing bats. But he's been great at missing barrels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically.
Well, yeah, exactly. But that fastball also has had so much carry and the extension and everything it's been missing. But like his 2 starts before this have not been great.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then you're coming into this saying, I don't know what we're going to get. And then you get a good outing. Mm-hmm. Like in the end, it was like, all right, you did well.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, like as it was going, it had the makings of like, he's going to give up a 3-run inning. I can feel it. Yeah. And he just never did. But he was kind of pitching like he did. Lodolo, on the other hand, was not. And he has not been all year. Right. Good point here. Ron Heichel in the chat says, Falter did what a 5 is supposed to do, keep the team in the game. 100% you're right. That's a very good point. You could even say what a 4 is supposed to do, which might be what he is on this team right now, not knowing if Martin Perez is coming back. But you're right.
This is funny.
What do you got here? Ryan says 90% of the fan base, including me, owes Falter an apology. That's 100%, including us, both of us.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
The 2 of us were saying, I can't imagine he's on this team for opening day, and then look at the run that he's on ever since the first 5 batters of the season.
Yeah.
Right? The first 5 batters of the season, he gave up 5 runs in the Jazz Grand Slam. And then since then, it's been really good.
Yeah.
We have said that, I don't want to back out and say like, well, he's just on a run right now. It's going to fall apart. I don't think that's the case. Like I'm good with him at this point.
Yeah.
But the things that he does well, and we've said this before, if he stops doing one little thing well, and that's the extension stuff that they talk about all the time, if that starts to go away, he's very hittable and it'll go right back to the way it was. There's a very fine line of what he's doing right, that if his mechanics are just off, it's not going to be good.
Right.
And so that's the thing you're always worrying about, which is why you can't continue. Like, Ron says what a 5 is supposed to do. You can't continue to just like count on him more and more and more, which luckily we don't have to with Skeens, Keller, Jones at the top. So we don't have to. But anyway, very good. But I don't want to just go without saying that like Nick Lodolo is a stud.
Yeah.
I know Hunter Greene shoved today, but if I'm the Reds and it's a playoff game, and it's a do or die, I'm going Lodolo over Greene. Yeah. Like that's my Pirates drafted him out of high school. I wish they had assigned him, but they didn't, and whatever. But 2.76 ERA right now, and he's got 8 wins. That's what Keller has right now. I mean, and he hasn't even. He spent some time on the IL to start the season. He's a true stud in my opinion. I really like Nick Lodolo. Wish he wasn't playing in Cincinnati. You know what I mean? But a really good pitcher and has a lot of. He doesn't feel like a guy who throws gas, but he can hit 96 on you, and you're like, oh shoot, thought he was crafty. And he's like, go sit down, bud. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Super good game there. So let's talk before we get into the last one. Let's talk one play. Right? We don't get into this, but let's talk about the Andrew McCutchen double play, or the Brian Reynolds line drive center field, McCutchen rounding. You actually got to see this right before we hit record.
Yeah.
I was really torn on this play. Was that I forgot how many outs there were? Was it I'm being super aggressive? Because in a game where you're like where runs are at a premium, sometimes there's some aggressive stuff that you might do to say, if this ball drops, I'm scoring. You know what I'm saying? And that would have been a big time run.
Yeah.
It gets caught. Maybe the read he had on it, he thought it's going to carry. I mean, we'll talk about a Rowdy Tellez ball that had no business being landing where it landed. And maybe there was something like that. That just came to me. I don't know. But do you have any thoughts on that play now that you've seen it and what you think? Like, was that a base running mistake, or was that you were way too over aggressive?
It was a base running mistake, in my opinion. I mean, I think aggressively safe is where you want to be there, and you want to get to second base and basically be standing on the base ready to go to third. If that ball gets over his head, he's going to have to jump. He's going to end up missing it. The ball's going to rattle around a little bit. You're scoring from second if that ball doesn't get caught. But if it gets caught, you got to be ready to go back to first. Now, maybe he forgot how many outs there were. I don't know.
Right. And in that case, mental error, and you don't like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But I'm leaning towards it was probably the aggressive move that he was just trying to, but because I don't think that mental mistake happens to McCutchen. He's a veteran, you know. I don't unless somebody told him wrong. Like I don't know, but
yeah.
And you get caught up, and it happens. It's not the end of the world, but it's a mental mistake that you don't like to see it, if that would be the case, or the over aggression, and kind of like, I don't know, you got your 3-hole hitter coming up next.
Yeah, but the 3-hole hitter that's coming up next is Connor Joe in this game, who can't hit the broadside of a barn since maybe the beginning of May. I mean, it's just been really bad. I get it. It's the lefty Lodolo. I'm still starting Connor Joe in this game.
Yeah.
And I even said during this game, like, we need to give him a break. He needs to take the Tampa series off. I actually don't mind a pinch hit late in the game against the lefty. But I think as far as getting starts, you have to give him a start against the lefty. But against righties, we've got to give him some days off. He cannot be out in right field. My box scores, they went to a white screen, and now they're not loading. I don't know if it's MLB site. I don't know if it's me, but now I got the first game. That's it. My other 2 box scores have disappeared, and now I can't get the pages to load. So I can't. I don't think he didn't have a hit in this one, did he? He got on base, but it was. How did he get on base? Because he was on base for in the second inning with when Grandal hit the double. We'll get into that. Anyway, I don't know what he did today off the top of my head. It's crazy that when this stuff doesn't load.
He was, I think, almost positive he was 0 for today.
Most of the team was, so.
Yeah, there was only 3 hits.
Right. All right, I'm reloading these from scratch so that I don't sound like an idiot the rest of the time here.
Joe was 0 for 2 with a walk.
Thank you. So he walked in the second, probably. So anyway, yeah, I don't care that he was buried. Like, give somebody else a start there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that Hunter Greene does really good against lefties too, so it's not like that's a good matchup to throw Sawinski out there in this game. Like he also is a guy that needs some sort of. There's no answer, right? I mean, like the guy he has to hit. We need Sawinski to hit. So anyway, it's just one of those things where, Olivares. Ron Heichel brings it up. Put Olivares out there in that matchup today. Give him a break. We'll get those. I'm gonna hit up a couple of the chats here because we're gonna talk the game today, which to me was the premier matchup, maybe one of the one of my favorite like pitching matchups so far this year. I know we've had a couple, but this one lived up to everything you would want it to live up to. So let me hit a couple of these in the chat so we can get into this, because I know there's a few things here, and we're going to talk a lot of this stuff, but it was good. So Ron Heichel says, Greene and Keller were both great. It came down to who made a mistake. Thankfully, it was Greene, even though they didn't score on the Greene mistake, because he was out of the game when Reynolds hit the homer. But the Pirates won. Good series and a good series win for a team that should be better in the ER. I agree with that. I think the players are there to be better, and it was a good series win. He also says, still say the Pirates need a 3 to 5 game winning streak. He said this on the show Sunday night. He's still right. Hasn't changed. And then we want to get down to, so that was the Greene and Keller. Ryan owes Andy Haynes, or does not own Andy Haynes an apology. That's fair to say right now. I will say this series, specifically these last 2 games, more about Lodolo and Greene. It says more about those 2 guys and the way that they pitched than it does our offense. I really like, all of our hitting struggles aside, those guys were great in these 2 games. There's a difference. You can say he left a lot over the middle and we didn't attack. They did not leave a lot over the middle. They both pitched very well. And so Greene did not give the Pirates a chance today. The only chance is, and I thought they did a good job of this, which I didn't think they were going to. Early on, the Pirates were swinging. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, let's get this guy out of here. But the thing is one thing that I looked up in the middle of the game is Hunter Greene has gone over 100 pitches. Tonight was the 10th time this season he's gone over 100 pitches. He's done it, I think, 7 starts in a row or something absurd. The first 2 starts of June were against the Cubs. He went 111 pitches in each of them. This is a guy you might not wait out. This is a guy you might want to just go attack because he's going to last, even in this heat. Really impressed with him. And then, so staying with the theme, Ron says that they are developing pitching well, and can't say the same about their hitters. So it's a lot of the same thing, right? It's a lot of the same thing. One more here that Ryan brings up. We did see this. Jake, did you see this? Mm-hmm. He says John Smoltz said the Pirates are a team that nobody would want to face if they had some pieces to go with the pitching. I saw this. I saw what he was saying. I agree for the most part with what he was saying. I think that there's a way that you could be super careless about it in saying, like, let's go get, I don't know. I don't want to even use the examples. The problem is the examples that I keep hearing are Luis Robert and Pete Alonso. The Pirates need left-handed power right now.
Yeah.
No matter where it comes from. It could come from Cruz and Sawinski and Tellez and even Reynolds, who hit a left-handed home run today. But they need left-handed power. And both of those guys are right-handed. I don't know that they help. Oh, well, they help. They help.
Absolutely
I don't think that they're the
help.
answer to push anybody over the edge. You need to have left-handed power. Without it, this team is not going to, they're not going to like run and get the division. Could they sneak into the wild card? Yeah, they could sneak into the wild card with who they have right now.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I don't like Pete Alonso. I'll just say that, but he's got power. It doesn't matter who he's up against. He's going to hit righties. He's going to hit lefties. And if you get a bat like that can hit both, I don't care if he's right or left-handed. I really don't.
I think there's still a little
point.
bit of it. I think there still is a little bit of it. Andrew McCutchen started off this year at one point. He had 4 home runs. And I believe it was Jim Rosati who brought up the fact that if he was playing every game in Milwaukee, he'd have 11. And it's just the fact that, like, yes, right-handed, you're going to get some home runs taken away from you at PNC Park. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
You got to have some lefties. And you got guys who are, like, you've got some, basically that means that McCutchen's a guy who can hit the ball hard. Connor Joe's the guy that can hit the ball hard. Key Brian Hayes. If these guys start to click, those last 2, again, Brian Reynolds is hitting well right-handed. You've got some right-handed pieces that can help do. Nick Gonzalez. How did I forget Nick Gonzalez? Right now, best hitter on the team, kind of a thing. But like these guys are going to go, right? On the left side, you've got nothing except maybe Reynolds, right? Cruz isn't quite going the way you need Cruz going. Sawinski's been a major disappointment so far this season. Tellez has been a disappointment, not quite as much as Sawinski. I think I counted on Sawinski more than I would have Tellez, but either way, like these guys aren't clicking the way you need them to click either. And without those guys, like you could go get somebody who gives you a shot, or these guys could just start hitting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And again, the segment on MLB Central, D-Rose said the same thing. He said they need a power bat. He said, and that very well could be O'Neal Cruz. He could just become a superstar that he is. And their troubles are not gone, but
it solves a big problem. Yeah, it solves a big problem. You got to have them from both sides, because if you run into pitching that can dominate one side or the other, you're going to lose a matchup because of it. That's all.
Yeah.
So anyway, Keller, 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks. Very efficient with the pitching. However, it did seem that the heat kind of was a problem for him, less so for Hunter Greene. Hunter Greene was very good. Neither one of them got a decision, despite the fact of Greene getting into the 7th and Keller getting into the 8th in a 0-0 game. Both of them having a great year. Going to Holderman in the 8th, 77 pitches through 7. Shelton decides, okay, I'm going to let Keller go out there for the 8th. Walks the first guy. 3 or 4 of the pitches, maybe all 4 of the balls, weren't even close. It was kind of a not competitive at bat when it came to that sort of thing. Do you think the fact that the pitches were where they were played in the fact that, or into the decision to go to Holderman? Or do you think that going into that inning, it was like, if he gets into any trouble, we're going to Holderman?
I think a lot of it played with how bad the pitches were. I mean, probably they saw it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he's warming up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they saw that he was gassed. I don't know if it was 100%. Oh, those pitches were terrible, non-competitive, because we've seen guys like Keller, a lot of good pitchers just lose it for a batter.
Yeah,
and they're able to come right back and get the next guy, but there was body language that they saw.
Yeah.
He
like, said that afterwards, didn't he?
It's time.
Yeah. I think the way Holderman's pitching right now, you get a base runner, you go to him, and you could make the argument, and Shelton said as much after the game. He's like, maybe should have just went with Holderman to start the inning and just gone from there. I don't mind giving him a shot. But if they knew that, then they knew he wasn't getting through 9. And you have a day off tomorrow, so there is kind of a little bit of, hey, just go, I don't know. I guess you still run the opportunity of him getting a win, but I don't think the players even care about that win anymore. They want the team win. I don't think that it makes a big difference. I think that Keller knows he got a win today. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that Keller knows he got a win. Maybe you're going to start looking at team wins more so. Like Skeens is 4-0 right now. The team is 6-1 when he pitches.
Yeah.
He's got to feel like he's 6-0.
Yeah.
Right? Because the game that he lost, he could have had a win, I think.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's got to feel that way about it. Hunter Greene was great. Holderman was unbelievable when he did come in. Bednar gets the save. He was very good. He's been very good since the beginning of May. Not worried about with Bednar anymore. And I'll say this about Diaz in game 2. He also got his 16th save. His ERA is also over 5. If you're in the bullpen and specifically a closer who's a 1-inning guy, and you run into a bad stretch, it's going to take a lot of time to get that ERA down.
Yeah.
Diaz is still a very good closer.
Yeah.
And he was still very good the other night. So, once again, we're getting a lot in the chat right now, and it's all based on hitting. And you and I were like, man, we're so excited about the pitching this time that we wanted to talk pitching. Brian Reynolds is him. Can we just say that? I tried to look it up. We ran out of time. I was trying to figure out how many at-bats he had. They said something in the broadcast that he's like the greatest June hitter ever as far as batting average. I don't really know. I'll have to look that up another time. But apparently his 376 or 347 or whatever the number is, June batting average is like at top of all-time lists or something like that. I don't really know. But pretty crazy. But we're getting a lot about the hitting. Let's skip sending Joe or not sending Joe in the second inning. Let's skip Rowdy's home run base running decision. And I'll just say this. I think it's a double no matter what. I don't think he's ever getting to third. Greg Brown acted like Rowdy Tellez could have had a triple. I just don't see that happening. However, he was very lucky to get a double.
Yeah.
But if you hit a ball 107 and a 26-degree launch angle that looked like it was about to hit the batter's eye, I mean, like, don't dog it. Don't walk it at all, right? But at the same time, like, I thought he got it. He thought he got it. Brian Reynolds apparently thought he got it because he took off when he hit his home run saying, if Rowdy's didn't get out, I didn't think mine had a shot. Like, everybody thought he hit a home run and didn't think it was close.
Listen, it's the nature of the game right now. Absolutely. If it would have carried out and he had that walk, it'd be plastered everywhere.
It'd be everywhere.
They'd make a fat head of it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of, like, he earned that little bit of a walk. That specific baseball was dead.
Yeah, it had to be.
There's no other explanation. 107, 26, a launch. No, that's a home run every single time unless there's something defective with the ball.
Or a ton of wind, which there wasn't. 6 mile an hour in from left at start of the game. So I don't think that 6 is going to make that much of a difference in that kind of a swing. It looked everything about it. And you know that these guys know what it feels like. I will say, I will say that it's still on Rowdy. Now, he was safe, so you can kind of breathe. He was mad at himself. It was on him. He shouldn't have done that in a way, right? I'm all about it. Like, run. You can, when it goes over and you know it's over, do whatever you want. Although I don't like the stutters around third and all that stuff. Just, you know what I mean? But, like, I get it. But, like, that wasn't, it has to be so far gone to do a walk like that.
That should have been so far gone.
I know.
107, like, he got all of it.
He did. He got it all. But here's the thing. It's still, even if you do that, though, it will always be on you. Right? Yeah. Ron says in the chat, it looked bad on him. And it did. It did look bad. And I get it, though. It is part of the game. You're running the risk of doing this every time. Here, I will say, though, Ron, I don't know you. I haven't met you. I haven't seen how fast you can run. You do make the comment that you're 52, and these are your words, 52 and fat, and you bet you're faster than Rowdy. Rowdy's not actually slow. Yasmani Grandal is slow.
Oh, yeah.
And Rowdy's big, so he's not going to be fast. But, like, for his size, he's not Jacob Stallings out there.
Right.
You know, and I know I just named 2 catchers, and that's not really fair. But, like, he's not terribly slow. So I would be surprised if you could beat Rowdy Tellez. If you could beat Rowdy Tellez in a race, I think it says more about you than it does him, and you might be special. Like, you might have some seriously good speed at 52 to beat Rowdy Tellez in a race right now, and I would be impressed. I'm not saying Rowdy's fast. I'm not saying he's like sneaky fast or anything. He's average speed for what he looks like. He's there to hit home runs, not to run the bases. But he's not like, It's not like a thing. Yes. We've got.
We agree on that.
I think. What are we saying? Tisha, whatever your name is on here. Yaz is the slowest player I've ever seen. If I hadn't watched Brian McCann, I think I would agree with that. I think Brian McCann might be slower than Yaz. You don't think?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think
Dude,
I'd like to see him.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that side by side.
I wouldn't. I think that'd be boring. I would not want to see that race. I would feel bad for both guys. I also know that at least I know McCann. As far as like MLB the Show goes, 0. I'm
pretty sure Yaz is. I think it's Yaz is.
Yaz
too.
might be as well, because if you're the slowest player in the game, it has to be a 0, right?
Yeah.
That's just the way it works. Yeah. All right. Anyway. So Ron says he is Rowdy's size, just older. Still, the older piece is the thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm 41 and I couldn't even be close to beating myself in a race when I was Rowdy's age. Like I would have blown myself away. So we're even talking about the same. Anyway, there is a lot. We've got a lot of hitting comments here, and I want to make sure that I love the chat because I love that you guys are part of this thing. But we are gonna move on here a little bit. As far as changing the lineup and everything, we'll talk about that again sometime. I will say Pit City what though, there is some overanalyzing that you might think. Shelton is all over the place with his lineups and the way that he starts guys. That is very true. However, it's not overwhelmingly different than the rest of the league. If you go on Baseball Reference and you look at the other section and go to batting orders, they're all over the place, other than the Braves. So this hurts. This hurts. Ron has me at least 50. So thanks, Ron. Come on, man. You know why I'll take that? Because I usually get younger, so I'll take that. All right, so Jake, timing wise for a Wednesday, Friday show, whatever, we're gonna throw this stuff out the window. We've got Tampa coming. There is, it's June, right? We don't have to look at wild card standings and all that stuff. You want to know if you're close. If you're close, let's do it. There's a lot to say here.
Yeah.
But this team, we've got Tampa coming in. We're inching our way. And just like Ron said earlier, like they need a good 3 to 5 game streak. Get back above 500. Once you get back there, then let's play this like inch by inch kind of thing. You win a series. We've won 4 out of the last 5 series at this point, back to back to start the month. And then we lost the series to St. Louis. We've won back-to-back series now. None of them sweeps, and that's what we're missing. Jim and I talked on Sunday. Excuse me for a second. Jim and I talked on Sunday about whether or not, I said, with the pitching staff that we have, this team has a better chance of winning 10 straight than they do losing 10 straight. Because you get those guys getting a couple chances each. At least Keller and Skeens, between the two of them, get 4 chances to stop that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Two chances each. And I think I even said 4 chances each when I listened back, but it's 2 chances each, 4 chances. And then you also have Jones and Falter in there who any day could stop that as well.
Yeah.
And so I just think that they'd be better off to run 10. Now, the offense has to click in order to win 10 in a row. And they're not doing that. So what are your chances and all that stuff? So Tampa coming into town, if you could get forget the sweep. If you could get another one, you're kind of getting close. You win the first 2 and lose on Sunday. I think Skeens is pitching on Sunday, so that's probably not going to happen. Right? Yeah. I think so. We have TBDs right now.
Yeah.
So we think we're going to see Jones And then Saturday, we don't know. Will it be Martin Perez coming back? Will it be a Fleming Ortiz piggyback game, something like that? And then you got Skeens on Sunday. When you're looking at that as, I mean, really, the Fleming Ortiz piggyback might be like, I'm confident.
Yeah.
The ERAs coming in aren't great either. This team's in about the same spot we are. You win a series this weekend, you're one game under 500.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, how are you looking at that point? I don't know. Is it enough to make you like, where are you at right now as far as like, let's do this. Let's say it this way. Vibe check. Where are you at right now?
I mean, I feel good right now. I think everything's starting to move forward rather than get clogged, if you want to call it that. We're not getting stuck in the motions. We're actually getting better, each time out. So I feel good.
Yeah, there is a little bit of that. If the National League was better, this would feel worse.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of that. The fact that it's up in the air for you to get, it kind of makes you want to go after it. It's that fear of like, if you react too early and then it's not there, did you just do something maybe premature? Because the NL's down, I feel like you could probably tread water a little bit longer. Watch this team progress. I don't know what their plans are for Jones and Skeens long term this season. So I don't know how that's going to affect things. But either way, I just watched some really good baseball games this week, and I enjoyed all three of them. They were very good games. And I think that that's what this team's going to give you. Now, you're going to be frustrated in the moment. Take a second to look back and watch and think about the games and say, yeah, I mean, Hunter Greene was great. I know that the offense isn't good, but I think if the offense was good, we probably would have had a very similar result there. Maybe get a run or two against one of those two guys or something, but they were good. And, that's what it is. Hey, Ron, see you later. Thanks for being in the chat. I don't know. Vibes are good. Let's go ahead and do you have anything else there on? Let's say this. Do you have anything else on the Pirates? I want to talk a little bit about Willie Mays, and this is a baseball podcast. I know it's mostly Pirates. This is a baseball podcast, and I think it's worth it. But do you have anything else on the series?
Just so not necessarily on the series, but
okay.
Reynolds for 1 second. He's over halfway now. Charlie Grimes in like the 20s. 30-game hitting streaks, longest in franchise history.
Okay.
We're at 18? Is that what you said?
17.
17. So he's a little over halfway there. Let's see if, at the end of the series, if we're talking 20.
Yeah. All right. Okay. 3 games, 3 hits. Mm-hmm. Brian Reynolds, 20-game hit streak. All right. I did call for a 2-homer game last weekend for Reynolds. He had a home run in the first inning in Colorado. He hit a home run in the first inning. I started like, okay, every time he got up, I was like, all right, I'm getting ready. I'm going to get something ready and I'm going to blast this thing out. He didn't get it. So anyway, Willie Mays, the news went out just yesterday, right? That Willie Mays had passed away, and 93 years old, seen as one of the greatest players ever. And from an era when like that actually meant something,
mm-hmm.
to be one of the greatest players ever, an era where, and I'll come back to this, but an era where like the lore of baseball was still being written for like for our generations. You know what I mean? Did you have any did you get a chance to actually sit back and be like, oh dang, this is a little bit bigger than just like, oh, dang, this dude, you know what I mean? It reminds me of like when Tony Gwynn died, it was like, oh, we should make a big deal of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this kind of, weird because it was earlier, but like there's some guys that it's like this actually should be a bigger deal.
So, quick little story. This is all I've got. I didn't get a lot of time to reflect on it, but I did talk to my buddy Garen about it. And Garen's a big baseball fan, just like us, Red Sox, but big baseball fan.
Sure.
His dad ran into Willie Mays in San Francisco, just walking the streets, and not when he was after he was retired.
Okay.
Said, "Mr. Mays, it's great to meet you." Shook his hand, and he said, "I don't have anything for you to sign, but is there any chance you could just hang on for a second while I go over here and grab a baseball and a pen so you can sign it?" And Willie Mays was like, "Sure." Dude went a block and a half away to get a baseball and a pen and come back, and Willie Mays is just chilling, just waiting for him. Like, this dude, he didn't have to stand there. You know how many people nowadays would be like, "Yeah, I'll wait, buddy." And then you go away and they're gone. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'll wait
this
for
was
5
a stand-up
minutes.
dude. He's a man of his word. Like,
Yeah, it's cool.
no, I thought it was really. So he has a baseball signed by Willie Mays at his house. Garen does, and like that's cool.
Yeah, that's super cool. I've got I could pull it down. I've got like the baseballism picture, like the drawing of him making the catch. That just sits up here on my board here. It's like clipped up there, and it's there all the time, right? So it's like it's one of those guys.
Yeah.
Baseball. Speaking of baseballism, it's funny. I got the shirt for my kids. My favorite was Ken Griffey Jr. And we've got the shirt that says your favorite player's favorite player, right? And so like I was talking to my 4-year-old Milo about it, and I was like, who's one of our favorite players? And he's like, Kutch. And I was like, Ken Griffey Jr. was Kutch's favorite player. And he's like, oh. And I was like, so that's how that ties in. What's funny is like, well, Willie Mays was probably Ken Griffey Jr.'s favorite player, right? It's why he wore 24. Right. It's why, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, it's that whole thing where like the cycle keeps going. And it made, that's what I really took from it. And that's where I was going. And I'm going to get there, but I don't usually like write and then read stuff. But I did today because as I was thinking about it and everything. And I also, it was funny because as I wrote this, I also pulled out my Joe Posnanski, the Baseball 100, where he actually lists Willie Mays as the number 1 player of all time. And a lot of what I thought and what I think it was probably based off of reading this before, but like when I went back and read this, I was like, oh man, this really shaped a lot of that. And so I think that Willie Mays was the character in every dream scenario. And you don't realize it necessarily. But this is what makes him, everybody's got their own who's the best. And I don't know that Willie Mays is actually my number 1, but this kind of an argument makes the case. Whether you were good defensively or a good hitter, a base hitter or a power hitter, chased after a ball with the utmost energy, or hot dogged a can of corn with a basket catch, he had average, he had power, he was fast. Buck O'Neil said, there were men faster than Willie Mays, but I never saw one faster with a fly ball in the air. You know what I mean? But like he also had a great arm. So no matter what you did well, no matter what your dream was, like he did that. He did it on a major league field, right? And so that's what makes it crazy. You know the numbers. If you don't know the numbers, look them up. They're eye-popping. And knowing that like he missed 2.5 years because he was in the service in the Vietnam War. You know what I mean? Like just wild stuff. We get to watch Ke'Bryan Hayes play third base. Just talk defensively. And we always say like, man, he makes it look so easy, right? Willie Mays wasn't necessarily that. It wasn't the, he caught a fly ball and you thought, nice play. And then that was it. No, it was exciting. Like he had a kind of like Clemente did. He had that part about him. Like Clemente didn't make it look easy. Clemente made it look exciting. Not that he made it look hard, but it was just like this excitement. Like all the highlights you watch of him is like, oh my gosh. I actually read heard somebody talking about it today that he would actually wear his hat a size small so it would fall off. Just for the excitement of it. And so like that, is this. But anyway, so this book, the Baseball 100, he rates him, has him as number 1. I already said that. He put this at the end of the whole thing about Willie Mays. He wrote this. What do you love most about baseball? Mays did that, which is, I was like, dang it, that just summed up what I just said. Anyway, to watch him play, to read the stories about how he played, to look at his glorious statistics, to hear what people say about him, is to be reminded why we love this odd and ancient game in the first place. Willie Mays has always made kids feel like grown-ups and grown-ups feel like kids. In the end, isn't that the point of baseball? So this stuff was stuff that I kind of wrote yesterday. I read this thing yesterday, and I put all this down. I was like, I want to read that. This morning, I saw like 3 different people put the same quote up because it's awesome. You know what I mean? It's awesome. My bad. What did I say? Korean War.
You said Vietnam.
Did I say Vietnam? Okay, Korean War. My bad. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan, for correcting me there, because I've listened to, I just say things that are wrong. Thank you. So anyway, as I look back at this, I keep thinking about what I said when it was like, when the lore of baseball was still being written for our generation, right? Mm-hmm. And I couldn't help but think, like, is our generation doing a poor job of writing the lore of baseball for generations after us? Like, are we doing a bad job of that? Because I feel like we are. There's so many stories. We hear these, and maybe it was just like what you did back then, right? But like, you hear all these stories and you only get to see little highlights. We've got all the highlights. But where, like, are we doing a good job of telling the stories and of like writing that baseball lore for the next people? And like, when will our grandchildren think of Ken Griffey Jr. the way that we think of Willie Mays and Hank Aaron and Yogi and Clemente, right? We look at them like these people are this. I mean, even Willie Mays, who just passed away, but like Clemente, who was gone before we were born. But we have this vivid, like, imagination is really all it really is. But we have this picture of who that person was and how they played and all of these guys. And I just wonder, like, are we doing a good job? Like, what are they going to think of Andrew McCutchen when we talk about him? Or Trout, Ohtani, Judge, Kershaw. You know what I mean? And it makes me think, like, man, are we doing a good job at this? At telling the lore of baseball for people? Are we just saying, well, it's all the video, you can watch the games if you want? I don't think that's the same. You know what I mean? Like the story you just said, like, I saw him on the street. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stories like that you can go back to and say, you know, oh, Ken Griffey Jr. used to talk about how the best work he ever did was work that nobody knew he did. You know what I mean? If you're going to be better, you've got to try to get better when no one's looking. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not just the stuff you do when people are paying attention. And it's like little things like that. It's like, tell those stories.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all. I just, you know, RIP, one of the greatest ever. I mean, I think if anybody makes a list and he's not top 5, I think that person don't know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but like,
I agree.
Yeah, really cool. Kind of stinks that it happened right when they're about ready to go play this game. Rick Woodfield and all that stuff. And, you know, would have been nice to, but isn't that how it happens with like, I just talk about like the stories and the lore and all that stuff. I feel like sometimes, isn't that how it happens? It wouldn't be a story, you know? I don't know. Maybe it would.
No, you're right.
But I just, you know, I felt like it was important baseball stuff that we kind of cover that a little bit. So,
yeah. Yeah. Good stuff.
All right, man. You got anything else?
I don't think so. I think I'm good, man.
You got a pick to click or whatever they say? You got something for the Tampa series?
Oh, man.
Jared Jones bounce back start. You got Saturday. I'm going to be at the game Saturday. If anybody's going to be there, I'm going to be at the game. Katie and I will be there. I'm going to be wearing my swimming trunks. That's not a lie. It's going to be like 97. I promise you I'm wearing swimming trunks to the game.
Listen, it's going to be hotter up there than it is down here.
Yeah.
That's wild.
There's a last question here in the chat from Ryan. It says, do you think the steroids era tarnished the legacy of MLB players during that time, even if they weren't involved? And I think he's saying, like, you know, as I'm saying, you know, telling the lore and the story and all that stuff, there is a lot of crap that we know that kind of hurt that. But, like, does that change? Will the grandchildren go back and say, well, yeah, you could talk about Ken Griffey. They're so far away from Junior, they're going to be like, well, he's probably using steroids. And we're going to be like, no. No, he wasn't.
Right.
The proof is in the injured list statistics. But, hey, Sherrod, you're going to be there. I'm really bad at, like, saying stuff during the game, but try to meet up with me. But, yeah, do you think so? Do you think that the steroid stuff will hurt legacy of even the guys that were clean?
Probably just
or counter argument. Do we tell the story enough that it won't?
Yeah. I mean, hopefully it's the latter, you know, but I don't know. That's a tough one. It really is.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, do your part. We'll do our part. We'll try to tell the story better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? As we pass it down to the people that, you know, whether it's your kids or just, you know, other people that you talk to, if we tell the story better, maybe we can avoid something like that. I mean, I think there's going to come a time when maybe the steroid users will be looked at differently, maybe in a less harsh light. The further you get away from things like that, the more you kind of, when you're not close to it, maybe a little more forgiving, I guess is, you know, the word. But
yeah,
it's the less you know about the bad stuff, the more you're able to say, look at what he did on the field. I'm not saying whether anything's right or wrong. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you can maybe appreciate the player. I will always say steroids kept you on the field more than they did anything. I think Barry Bonds was a great hitter regardless.
Yeah.
I think it's the idea that he stayed on the field more than the next guy. I don't think that pumping steroids, or even just saying like without steroids, I don't think that like moving your maximum bench up 100 pounds is going to make you hit, 13 more home runs. Like, you still got to hit it solid.
Yeah.
It's just going to be, is it 450 or 500? Yeah. If it's, I don't even think it's that big of a difference, but I don't know. Maybe it is, but either way, I don't know. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, fun one, man. Fun one today. It was weird to do like a Wednesday, but it was good. We won't have to stay up so late Thursday night.
Yeah.
Good times.
For it.
I'm here for it.
I'm here for it.
All right, Bucks, let's go for the third straight series win this weekend.
Yeah.
That's how we'll say.
I like that.
Keep winning series, even if they're not the 3 to 5. I agree. We need to go on a run, but
yeah,
if you can't, maybe
keep winning the series.
Yep. Keep winning series. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for those in the chat. Thanks for everybody who's listening, whether it's audio or watching this later on YouTube, all of that good stuff. We really appreciate you guys. And I know these midweek things, the way we bounce around. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Love you guys. Maybe see you guys at the game Saturday. Let's
wish
go Bucks.
I could be there.
Yeah, wish you could be there too. Let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks.